Hello, YouTubers. Welcome to the Allegheny Portage Railroad. Would you like to learn a bit about stone cutting today?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I am a stone cutter. My job is to make stone sleepers here for the Allegheny Portage Railroad. If you come back, if you use your imagination to go back to the early 1830s, you would have seen several hundred people in this area dressed like me, doing the same things that I'm going to do, making sleepers. Are you familiar with what a sleeper is?
Are they essentially early form of like a stone railroad tie almost?
Pretty much, yeah. The stone sleeper is an object that keeps the rails stationary and stable. The Allegheny Portage Railroad used about 200,000 stone sleepers for the 36 2/3 miles of rails. Actually, if you double it, they had double tracked rails. So, although they also use the wooden railroad ties as well, mostly on the inclined planes. And the reason why the state of Pennsylvania used the stone sleepers for the Allegheny Portage Railroad is because they based a lot of their work on early English railroads. In the 1820s, when the state of Pennsylvania was first designing this railroad, first deciding to build it, they weren't quite sure how to do it. So they sent a team of engineers over to Great Britain, over to England, to basically learn how the English did it. Because the English were at the forefronts of railroading technology. They built the first railroads, the first steam engines, and who better to learn from than the best? And one of the things the English did at the time was used stone sleepers, and if it's good enough for England, it's good enough for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Was this at a time we're still copying from the English?
Yeah, they literally bought a locomotive steam engine, shipped it over to Pennsylvania, took it apart and copied all the pieces and made 3 other engines off of it. So they literally copied the British literally exactly. So,
that sounds like something Americans would do.
Yeah. We take an idea that other people did, steal it, improve on it, theoretically improve on it, and then claim it as our own. But in order to make a stone sleeper, it's not the most complicated thing. You don't need to be the smartest person. You don't need to be a genius or Leonardo da Vinci. All you really need is a hammer and a drill bit, and someone to swing the hammer, of course. So the workers would come here. Well, this is one of the quarries, one of the several dozen quarries used by the Allegheny Portage Railroad workers, the contractors who built this, because they didn't want to haul a 400-pound block any further than they had to, and considering that Johnstown's 26 miles away, that's too far for them, so they had quarries every so often throughout the way. So they would find an appropriate block of sandstone. The official instructions were to use sandstone or any other suitable material, so basically use whatever you got. And the stone cutters would trace out the rough dimensions of the sleeper, roughly 2 feet long by about 1.5 feet wide by about 16 inches tall, though that kind of varied depending on who built it. They would take their hammer and their drill bit and go to town. Since we don't have all day here, let's speed this up a little bit. So using a single person, you will get about 1 inch an hour. But if you wanted to make it a little faster, you would use a process called double jacking, where one person would hold the drill bit and 1 or 2 other people would take their sledgehammers and go MC hammer time.
Oh God.
And this would about double the rate of speed, about 2 inches an hour. Though, as you can imagine, there were accidents. Let's just say OSHA would not be very happy with what's going on. But if OSHA doesn't know about it or hasn't been invented yet, they can't be mad. But I can tell you from personal experience, no one enjoys breaking their bones.
No God. Yeah.
Especially if you do it 2 weeks before you go to Disney World. Pro
no.
tip, try not to do that. So the workers, they invented their own safety features, because if you got injured on the job, you couldn't work, well, that sucks, you're fired. And someone else would take their place. So they invented a safety feature, a little iron prod with a hoop on top of it, so they would be a little bit further away to make it a little bit safer. So then once the workers had drilled enough holes, they would put in their wedges, put the wedges in the holes that they drilled, and then hammer them down to cut the stone, to split the stone. It's pretty cool to see. I would recommend YouTubing it, Googling it. You'll see some pretty cool videos of it happening. So all they had to do was figure out how they were going to attach a solid iron railroad chair. This is called a chair because the rails would sit in it like so. How they would attach a solid iron object to a solid block of sandstone. If you would think that they would be using wood, you would be absolutely correct. The workers would take a different drill bit, a larger drill bit, drill 2 holes in the center of the stone of the sleeper. Again, about 6 inches deep, about 6 inches apart. Again, hit, twist, hit, twist, hit, twist, hit, twist, hit, twist, ad nauseum. They would put in the wooden plugs, hammer them down so that they are flush with the top of the stone. I'm not going to do this because I would literally never get them out, and I am not joking. If you look over there, you can see a railroad chair still attached to the solid irons, to the sandstone sleeper that was put there in the early 1830s. It's been here almost 200 years.
Oh God.
Now I've heard that if you could pull the chair out of the sleeper, you are the one true owner of the Allegheny Portage Railroad. Though I might have read too many King Arthur books. Too much, I may have taken T.H. White a little bit too much to heart. So the workers, once they had moved the sandstone sleeper in position on the railroad using, they would carry it using a horse-drawn wagon or sled, or literally just, okay guys, let's roll it over, flip it over, depending on how far they had to go. They would put the chair, then hammer in nails into the block of wood, and presto! You got a sandstone sleeper with a railroad chair attached. All they had to do now was put the rails on. They would be able to lower the rails vertically. Ours doesn't quite work that way. Although this is legitimate, this is from the time period, this is a reproduction. So we have to slide it in. All that's left to do is make sure that there's still safe for the train to go across it. Just this is pretty loose. This could cause the train to derail or cause what is known as a snakehead. A snakehead is when the rail gets pushed off of the chair and then gets pushed up through the floor of the car, of the engine, or through the cars. It could cause damage to the goods, or could injure or kill people, and they obviously didn't want that to happen. So they invented what is known as the keys and the lock. Now this technology is still in use today in modern railroads. The key is this little thing right here, and the lock is this right here. So put the key in the lock on that side, the key, the lock on this side. Here's my hammer. Much more stable, much more secure. This isn't going anywhere, but over time, when the trains would go over it, the vibrations of it would eventually cause. Come on, I hit it in too much. Would eventually cause. Come on. This is not going as well as I thought it would. Normally, it's not as hard. Okay. Would cause the keys to come loose, so they would hire a 13, 14-year-old kid for their first job, and their job would be to, here's a hammer, walk along the rails, and hammer in the keys into the locks. And I don't know about you, but if I knew my safety as a passenger was reliant on the attention span of a 14-year-old, I might be a little more hesitant to travel. But overall, the Allegheny Portage Railroad was a very safe and reliable method of transportation. Tens of thousands of people used the railroad. Tens of thousands of tons of goods, of raw materials used the railroad, traveling over its lifespan without much issue. It's just the fact that anything we we humans build, there's always a chance for something to go wrong. And when things went wrong on the railroad, they tended to go spectacularly wrong. But overall, it was a safe and reliable method of transportation.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.